Last, now everybody go to breakfast. Shayo, that, Hello, welcome back to my channel. This is the Bloomin' Jazz, where inner work meets outer glow. And today I am going to be talking about how to reset the end of the year and pivot into the next year. And for those of you that do not know, I am the queen of pivots. Growing up in Ghana, I used to be at the bottom of my class, and I carried, last pepe. Like, if you don't know what that means, it means like you carried the class. If this is a valedictorian, like, you are here, you are at the bottom. And let me not let my old classmates come at me. Like, I was never literally like the last. Now everybody go to breakfast. Like, I wasn't always like the last, but I wasn't meeting my full potential. And it wasn't for lack of self-confidence or self-belief. I just did not prioritize studying. I prioritized reading novels and having fun. Like, I came to here to have fun. I came here to have fun. Come on. Around the time that I decided to change that, I moved to the United States, and I went from being at the bottom of my class to graduating near the top of my class. Like, I don't mean to brag about it. I don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot. I literally in high school won $1,000 for writing an essay slash speech. I got a perfect score in my English PSAT. So do not come at my accent. Do not come at my accent because I'm bilingual, However, like, I had very good vocabulary and a very good mastery over the English language when it came to literature, writing, and all of that. Not only did I do that, I got a lot of money to go to a very expensive private school, and I graduated with very little student loans. And when I got to college, I decided to pursue nursing. And at the time, I was told, like, a lot of people from my background, from high schools like mine, did not often do well, in the nursing course, because I decided to become a nurse when I was in college. And initially, they weren't going to let me into the program, but I'm like, if God says yes, who can say no? So guess who made it into the program? I did. Guess who got to go to Switzerland? I did. Guess who got a graduation award? Guess who got an award at graduation? I did. It's me. It's me again. Like, what do you mean? And where's my phone? Because let's ask chat, how many people get recognized or get special awards at graduation in college? Hey chat, how many people get awards or special recognition at graduation in college?
Hey, so in a college graduation setting, the number of people who get special awards or recognition is generally a relatively small percentage of the graduating class. So how it usually breaks down: honors designations. A certain percentage of students graduate with honors, like cum laude, magna cum laude, or summa cum laude. This might be roughly the top 10 to 30% of the class, depending on the school's criteria. Departmental or special awards, these are often more selective. Maybe a handful of students per department get awards for things like leadership, research excellence, or community service. Special recognitions, sometimes there are unique awards, like a Dean's Award or a Distinguished Graduate
Can
Honor.
you give me a percentage for special awards slash recognition departmentally?
Absolutely. In terms of a percentage for special awards or departmental recognition, it's usually pretty small. Typical percentages? Generally about 5% or less of the graduating class might receive a special or departmental award.
There you go. I'm special. And guess who passed their NCLEX on the first try? I did. So what do you mean that I am not the queen of pivots? Let's just flash forward, because this is just like almost 10 years ago now. I went from being a med-surg nurse, and I did a lot of different types of nursing to becoming an ICU nurse, 2 Ivy League hospitals, well, Ivy League school affiliated hospitals. I'm now a travel nurse and I earned my CCRN all within less than, like, yeah, about 2 years of me being an ICU nurse, you know. So I am the queen of pivots, and I honestly, which we can talk about in a different video, I've lost 80 pounds. And we can go into how I did that and my current gym routine. But I lost 80 pounds with little to no loose skin. Because guess what? When I say yes, who can say no? When God says yes, who can say no? And so enough with me rambling on, but let me tell you how to pivot. First of all, you need to have a plan, you need to have a vision, you need to have a map, because if you don't know where you're going to get lost. And granted, I'm not saying that you need to know 24/7 everything about how your life is going to be, because I know you can plan it all and it still will not go according to plan. But what I'm saying is that you need to have at least a rough draft of sorts. You know, you need to learn how to be adaptable and malleable to the situation, but you need a rough draft of what your interests are, where you want to go, where you desire to be, and you can set long-term goals, and then the short-term goals are basically how you're going to get there, the little steps you're going to do to get to where you ultimately want to be. So how do you go about setting these long-term goals, short-term goals? How do you go about having this map of who you want to be? I'll tell you how I do that. At the end of each year, I create a vision board, and yada 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 yada, like everyone creates a vision board, but I'm so serious with my vision board. I go on Pinterest and I look up images of things that inspire me, you know, aesthetically, spiritually, whatever draws my heart, whatever speaks to me. I take that picture and I put it down in a Google Doc or in like a slide document. And afterwards I compile all my pictures and I basically make a collage, because I don't believe in, not that I don't believe in it, I do not have time to take a paper and cut. I know other people do that, but that is not my ministry. Like, first of all, like, we live in the technological age, Nabi, Sabi, like, come on now. But this works for me. If you want to use a paper and a scissors and glue, go ahead and do that. But I just literally screenshot everything that inspires me and then put it together. And I divide it into physically, what do I want to look like? What are my fitness and my health goals? I divide it into relationships, my friendships, like my family. How am I building and growing these connections? I then have a section for career. Like, where do I want to be my career? What are some of the things that I can do to level up? And most importantly, how can I make this money? How can I make this money? Shabu shabu, like, not shabu shabu, because shabu shabu is not always, shabu shabu means fast. It's not always the best way, but basically, as a leveling up queen, I need to know what moves I can do to grow in my career. So we have fitness, we have friends and family, we have career, and like, I have spirituality. And I know that means different things for different people. So for me, what that means is a little bit of my mental and emotional health, but also like having a personal relationship with God. And that for me is non-denominational, but I have that because I believe that it centers me a lot, especially during my most trying times. So whatever that is for you, you have to break it into sections. And so once you break it down into sections, then you focus on each topic. So for example, when it comes to health, what does health look like to you? Does it look like being able to run a mile without stopping? Does it look like eating more fruits and vegetables? Does it mean having washboard abs? Yeah? You need to understand what it means to you, and then with that you would find corresponding pictures to kind of visualize where you want to be and where you desire to be. And if it's something that you're already doing a great job at, you're your own motivation. Just take pictures of what you do every day, slam it on the vision board. It is you. You are it. You are her. You are her, baby. 2022, actually no, towards the middle of 2023, I looked at my nursing journey and I was just like, this is not it. I really want to specialize in something, and I've always wanted to do critical care. So let me find my way to get here. And I did pivot. I pivoted into critical care, and once I was doing that, I knew ahead of time. I said, you know what, I want to make more money. However, with me transitioning to critical care, I took a pay cut because I wasn't trained as a critical care nurse. And so they pay you less because technically you're undergoing training, and then you get paid more the longer you stay there and stuff like that. But I took a pay cut because in the long run, I had a vision. And my vision was that I would be an ICU travel nurse. And this was back in 2023. Now we're in 2025, and I'm doing exactly what I said I wanted to do. In 2023, when I became an ICU nurse, I purchased my Barron's book, which is one of the study materials that we use to study for the CCRN exam, the Critical Care Registered Nurse Certificate, certified, whatever that means. But that certificate, I purchased it all the way in 2023 when I just got into the ICU. And granted, like, I didn't know much to begin with anyway, but I bought the book because I had a vision and I had a belief that one day I would become CCRN certified. And it was I told myself, like, within a year to 2 years, I would reach this goal. And guess what I did? I took my exam right when I became a travel nurse. I focused, I locked in, because you have to lock in. And I took my exam, and the rest is history. You know, now on to the next goal. However, you cannot think about everything at once. I cannot not be an ICU nurse and be like, I am going to become a travel ICU nurse. Like, that is not reasonable, because first and foremost, you need to see, what steps am I going to do to get there? What steps am I going to have to take to get to boop, 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 boop? Like, what steps are going to lead me to my ultimate goal? And so whether it is, damn, like, I really need to work on my resume, you start with that. You don't just start with, oh, let me go take this CCRN. Then you go and you are not even qualified to take it. But so long as you have the ultimate vision in mind, you are able to note the gaps and ultimately what you need to be able to achieve it. And so every time I make a pivot in life, I sit back and I do a self-assessment. And I think right now, actually, I am going through that kind of, you know, ruminating over my year, over my goals, over where I am in relation to where I want to be. And when I sit down and I make those pivots, it becomes clear to me, because sometimes you cannot just bam, 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 onto the next, onto the next, onto the next, and you're not even enjoying life. Hold on. You actually need to take time to also celebrate yourself, no matter where you are in your journey. And for me, I literally write down. Today I was able to run a mile without stopping, and I'm proud of myself. You know, you need to recognize where you are to appreciate who you want to be. Otherwise, life just becomes like you're a hamster on a wheel, back and forth every day. Like, no, we don't do that here. We don't do that here, babes. I'm all about enjoyment. We work hard and we play harder. And so, like I was saying, first you have a map, and then you set your intentions for the year. You break it down into categories. Then you focus on each category and set goals for yourself within that category. The long-term goal may be, this is my goal weight. But in between that, the short-term goals is I want to go to the gym twice a week, right? Then you go to your calendar and you schedule it ahead of time. I think it's easier for me to go Friday night. Well, a lot of people are not going to the gym on Friday night. Let's just be real. The gym be empty. But like, essentially, once you have that, you're gonna set it within your weekly calendar, which is the other thing. Like, you cannot be in your 20s and not have a calendar. Come on now. Like, you're only gonna get busy from now until you're older. Like, just go ahead, have a Google Calendar and put things in it. I'm not saying you need to schedule every single activity, but have the main things. That way you can keep track of even doctor's appointments, you know, setting time aside for family and friends, for travel. Be organized. So another tip that I would give is having a Notion. I have a Notion. I use it kind of as my journal of sorts. I literally have a journal portion within my Notion. I have a financial portion, a budget portion, and then a goal section. I have many sections, and I will actually share it with you guys in a video. But essentially, I use this Notion as a way to realign myself, to come back to center when I feel lost. Because when I feel lost, sometimes it's because I don't recognize what I am actually achieving, or I just feel overwhelmed. And when you feel overwhelmed, sometimes you need to rest. Let's just say that. You need to rest, but do not be confused with taking rest as giving up, because you're not giving up. You know, sometimes you're just exhausted when you accomplish a lot at a time and you are not balancing out your work mode versus your enjoyment your enjoyment mode or your relaxation mode. And so sometimes that will draw your attention to, hey, I need a break, I deserve some relaxation. And then guess what, you schedule that as well. I'm dropping a lot of gems and I may be moving very fast, so take a pen and a paper, write this down, or rewatch this as many times as you have to. It's just, I get very excited about self-improvement and becoming. So I speak passionately when I talk about how to go from who you are now to who you ultimately want to be. And granted, like, I am my dream girl. Like, I'm her. But yes, there's plenty ways for me to improve, but I am happy when I look in the mirror. I have so much respect, so much admiration for the person that I see in the mirror, and that's something that no one can ever take away from you. So if you're suffering with self-esteem issues, and I find that most of the time low self-esteem has to do with low ability to meet goals and basically not keeping the promises that you make to yourself, because I think that it's a feedback loop. It's a loop cycle, it's a loop mechanism. So if you do not accomplish what you say you're going to accomplish, you basically lose self-esteem and you lose self-confidence and self-belief, because if you are not doing what you're saying that you're going to do, how can you trust the rest of the world? Like, how can you hold anyone accountable to treating you how they say they're going to treat you when you don't even treat yourself how you say you're going to treat yourself? Honestly, wake up. Damn. I'm strict. I'm not that strict, y'all, but come on. Wake up. Wake up, sis. Like, and as I'm saying this, I'm also saying it to myself, because I'm doing great, but there's plenty ways to improve. Like, as a self-improvement queen, as a pivot queen, I believe that even when I become my best self, there will be another way for me to improve. And if it's not improving within myself, it's improving the people around me. And that genuinely gets me excited. The other thing I would say, because I was just kind of telling you the story of how to reset, the first and ultimate thing that you need to do is sit down and take an inventory. You cannot fix something when you don't know where it's broken. You cannot sit here and talk about, these are my goals for the next year, la 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 la, when you don't even know what you're doing right now that is getting in the way of your goals. Come on. Come on. You need to sit down, take an inventory, and then you can plan. Because sometimes like it takes a lot to sit within yourself and see how you are self-deprecating, jeopardizing, inflicting injury. You know, you're getting in your own way. And I'll give an example. Like at the beginning of last year, I was a Costco eater, like prepackaged meals, air fryer, like chicken, air fryer, pizza, air fryer, pre-made muffins, air fryer. Like I just was eating a lot of like foods that were not fresh, and I wanted to do better. So I sat there and I told myself, you know what, Jazz, like you actually have to stop buying so much pre-made food and get real food. And if you don't have the energy to cook, just go straight to source. Like sardines are not bad, salads are not bad, chicken is not bad. If you want to buy pre-made chicken, just get a rotisserie chicken. Don't go and get something that's been frozen in the freezer for a year. Like, come on. But if I were to go back in time, like maybe that was what I needed to do in the beginning because I was just so overwhelmed with everything. But once I reached a balanced level, again, I reassessed, took inventory, and said, this is how we are going to improve. And I legitimately stopped myself from buying so much pre-made, pre-processed foods. Another example I will give is my skincare routine. Like, I do not have the best skin. Like, I have naturally textured skin. You can't tell right now because the makeup is makeuping. But like, I sat down and I said to myself, you know, what are some ways that I could stop getting so much scarring? And one of it was like I would pick my face. Like, I like picking at stuff. Like, if you ever watch Dr. Pimple Popper, like I'm her biggest fan. I'm in there like, squeeze it out. I just want to squeeze it out. And I had to stop that. You know? So you need to take an inventory. Once you take the inventory, then you're going to have the map. Like I said, use Pinterest, journal, get into Notion, look on TikTok. Like, maybe I'll make a video about it, maybe I won't, but go find out yourself, self-study, you know, go look for the resources, be ambitious about your goals. Set short-term goals and how those short-term goals are going to get you to long-term goals. Don't get overwhelmed. Break it down into categories, things that matter to you: fitness, health and wellness, career, friends and family, travel, enjoyment. Like, break it down into sections. Incorporate a lot of visuals. I'm a very visual person, so it makes me excited to see, like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to Turks and Caicos, like I need to be on that yacht, you know. And when I have that in my vision board, guess what exactly I'm gonna do? I need to get on that yacht. That's just an example, you know. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. I 2 years ago like had very low self-esteem. I knew it. I knew that the person I was on the outside didn't reflect the person that I am on the inside. And in many ways, it was low vibrational for myself. And I strive, like even now, I strive to be a positive person. And a lot of people will say I'm mostly like positive. Like, I think I have good energy, but that didn't come naturally. It came with a lot of tears, a lot of self-inventory, a lot of, you know, change. And change is painful, but you sometimes have to go through that pain to grow. They're growing pains, you know. And once you get to your ultimate self, you look back and realize how important that heartbreak was, how important those growing pains were to become who you are today. And I really wish that for all of y'all. And welcome to the Bloomin' Jazz, where inner work meets outer glow. Let me know what you think in the comments. Share your own tips on how to pivot, self-improve, take a self-inventory assessment, and I hope to see you again in my next video. Bye guys.